Mr. Mayor.
Could I call upon the chaplain, my chaplain, Canon Michael Gisborne, to lead prayer, the members in prayer, please.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give you grateful thanks for all that you have given to us, for life and sustenance, for health and friendship, the ability to fulfil the calling to public office. In the meeting that lies before us this evening, give to all wisdom in governing amid the conflicts and interests and issues of our times, a sense of welfare and for the needs of residents, a thirst for justice and righteousness, an ability to work together where there is difference for the needs of all. We pray all these things in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Could I start by welcoming all the members of the public and apologise for the slightly later than advertised start. There were some IT problems, so it was to address those IT problems. Hopefully everything is now working as it should be, so we should run to normal. So our apologies for that. Could I ask the Chief Executive for apologies for absence, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I haven't actually got any notified apologies for absence this evening. Any apologies? None at all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for that. Do we have any urgent business? There isn't any urgent business notified, so we'll move on to declarations of interest. Could I ask the Head of Legal and Governance to speak, please, before councillors declare any interest they may have?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members were advised that when the publication draft local plan was considered, and they are reminded now that a council's interest, be it the county council, the district council, or a parish council's interest in land, is not a relevant consideration to any decision as to whether the land should be allocated in the local plan. Local authorities own significant areas of land, and it's not unreasonable that some of the land, or land in which an authority has interest, will be proposed for development. As a planning authority, it's essential that any choices members make are based on the best interests of the planning of the area, and that decisions should not be influenced by any possible gain to the council nor its neighbouring authorities. Insofar as declarations of interests, then whilst the financial benefits may accrue to the county council if land at New Farm in Greenhammerton is developed, that financial benefit does not attach to county council members personally. Indeed, it's unlikely to impact on them any more than any other council taxpayer in the county. County councillors are paid an allowance and are not in office at the county council for profit or gain, and as such this interest is very unlikely to constitute a disclosable pecuniary interest. However, as a precaution against the decision in the Councillor Flowers case in East Devon, and in order to give those dual-hatted members confidence in their ability to vote, should they wish to do so, then they were invited to request a dispensation. Those dual-hatted members present tonight, participating in agenda item 16, have requested, and I have granted a dispensation to them pursuant to section 33 of the Localism Act 2011, which enables them to remain in the meeting room, participate in the debate and vote on the item. For transparency, Mr Mayor, it is understood that the following land owned by Harrogate Borough Council is also allocated in the proposed plan: Dragon Road Car Park, which is site reference H63, the land at Panel, reference PN18, that's an employment allocation, and Harlow Nurseries, which is site reference H65. This is not considered to be a personal or disclosable pecuniary interest. The matter doesn't relate to an external body, and members are aware that interests in the land are not a relevant consideration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Could I ask members to indicate any further interests that it is necessary to declare under the Code of Conduct? Councillor Harrison, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just following on from the advice that Mrs. Norton has just given there, Mr. Mayor, I'm a dual-hatted member of the North Yorkshire County Council, but I'm also a member of the executive. In 2017, I voted on a matter at North Yorkshire County Council Executive relating to a financial interest in the land that Mrs. Norton refers to being Hampton. So I have a greater knowledge and have voted on an item related to that financial interest. Despite that fact, I do believe I can approach the decision on the local plan objectively. However, in the interests of not bringing the matter into disrepute, I will leave the meeting at that point and not take part in the proceedings.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any other declarations? Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Do the county councillors want to make a declaration themselves?
Just before Councillor Fisher, I'll declare an interest. I'm a dual-hatted councillor, but I've signed the paperwork and been granted a dispensation. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've also asked for dispensation in respect to the item of the local plan. I would like to point out that, as far as I'm concerned, the situation of you being a county councillor and the county council having an interest in some land is different, but not a lot different, than the land that the Borough Council owns that is within the local plan area. However, the fact that the county council is an external body makes it a requirement to ask for the dispensation. That is why I'm not asking declaring interest in the land that Harrogate Council owns.
Thank you. Councillor Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too am a county councillor. I have asked for and been granted dispensation.
Councillor Lumley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Likewise, Mr. Mayor, I've asked for dispensation and been granted.
Councillor Paraskos.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I also am a dual-hatted councillor and asked for dispensation and it's been granted.
Councillor Metcalfe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am also a dual-hatted councillor and asked for dispensation.
Councillor Atkinson.
I also am a dual-hatted councillor, country councillor, and asked for dispensation.
Councillor Innes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too am a dual-hatted councillor and I have asked for and I believe been granted dispensation. Thank you.
Councillor Windass.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am a dual-hatted. I am a member of North Yorkshire County Council and I have signed and requested dispensation and been granted.
Councillor Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm also a dual councillor and have signed a dispensation.
Councillor Clark.
Yeah, similarly, I'm a dual-hatted councillor and I have been granted a dispensation.
Just before I move over to this side, Councillor Haslam.
Mr. Mayor, I'm a dual-hatted councillor and have been granted dispensation. Thank you.
Are there any more county councillors on this side of the chamber before I move over? No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm a dual-hatted member as well and I've asked for and received dispensation.
Thank you very much. Any other county councillors on the right-hand side, my right-hand side of the chamber? Anybody, anywhere else? Thank you, that concludes that then. Agenda item number 4, exempt information. There is no exempt information. Agenda item 5 are the minutes. To receive the minutes of the meeting of the council held on this 12th of February 2020. Could I ask for a mover and a seconder of the minutes, please?
Move, Mr Mayor.
No second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Could I ask that everybody votes on this, please, by pressing the button in front? Therefore, the motion's approved. Moving on to communications, the order of business, I've agreed to vary the order of business, and agenda item number 16 will move forward after the public questions. So that's that one. Can I, filming of the meeting, would members of the public please be aware that we have been notified that Mr Cook from the Harrogate-Informer intends to record, film, photograph this meeting. The recording is taking place from within the chamber and will focus on the members, officers and anyone speaking at the meeting. If any members of the public do not want to be filmed, please make it known to Samantha Rich. Where's Samantha?
To me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The Abbey Foundation College will be exercising its right to march through Harrogate Town, and there will be a freedom parade involving approximately 200 soldiers on the morning of Friday the 8th of May, which is VE Day. Further details of the event will be circulated to members in due course. And just before we move on to public arrangements, could I just remind all councillors and members of the public, please, to turn your phones either off or onto silent. Thank you. Agenda item number 7, public arrangements, which is petitions, and there are no petitions this evening. Public questions. There are 6 questions this evening. Firstly, could I invite Marlene Peckett, I hope I pronounced that correctly, to step forward and ask her a question to the Cabinet Member for Planning and Resources, Councillor Vernon. Please do sit down.
No, it's all right, thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am a concerned resident living in Kirkhamerton and downhill from the proposed new settlement in the local plan. All the floodplain fields around Kirkhamerton are presently underwater and the beck is overflowing. In this context, I would like to ask if Harrogate Borough Council planning policy and flood risk assessments take account of climate change when assessing a planning application for development. If so, what are the attenuation measures, and are these considered adequate for the extreme weather patterns we are now experiencing? Thank you.
Councillor Vernon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you very much for the question. Flood risk is a key part of the sustainability appraisal, so by that time I'm talking about the process that we've gone through to select the broad location for growth through the local plan. It's a key part of that appraisal. It shows that while there are some areas at risk of flooding, the vast majority of the broad location we're looking at is at lower risk or no risk of flooding. But it's a key point we'll consider when we're taking forward the new settlement development plan documents and in coming to the third location of the developments thereafter. Along with national guidance, we take a sequential approach to flood risk that has to be followed by identifying that boundary. It's based on the strategic flood risk assessment that does include specific advice on predicted impacts of climate change. drainage schemes need to show that there's on-site accommodation, sufficient storage on-site to accommodate the 1 in 100 year rainfall event, plus an additional 30% to accommodate for climate change, and a further 10% on top of that for future development nearby.
Thank you very much. Could I invite Mr. Kevin Bramall up, please? Again, he'll be asking his question, I presume to Cabinet Member.
Thank you. It's actually Kevin Bramley, just to correct you, sir.
I do apologise.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Climate change and its impact on flooding is of concern to cattle residents. The roads leading south and west out of the village frequently throughout the year. They have been flooded and the road blocked throughout the last 4 weekends. Ponding is occurring more frequently on the carriageway north and west of Huntingdon leading to Walshford, caused by surface water runoff. Sodden ground and surface water runoff from higher ground has become a major factor in dwellings being flooded in recent times in other parts of the country. Our residents want to be protected from this. Given the size and magnitude of the new settlement proposal and its broad location on generally higher ground, concern is expressed that surface water runoff will carry a detrimental impact on cattle and Kirkhampton and the productivity of agricultural land in the area of the new settlement. Will the Council withdraw the proposal from the local plan, given it is not essential to hit the required housing need?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much, sir, for the question. The detailed proposals for the new settlement, which we have not yet seen, because we're in the process of developing this DPD, they'll need to show that the potential for surface water flooding could be managed through a drainage scheme that stores surface water on site. And I think this is an important part to answer your question, and that attenuates its release at no greater than the undeveloped greenfield rate, or less where possible. So the surface water runoff cannot be increased by the development taking place, and may actually lead to a reduced rate following the development. On your last point, the local plan's gone through a very detailed process of preparation, analysis, consultation and examination, and we're going to talk about this quite a lot tonight, I think. It's been examined by an inspector who has found it to be sound. The new settlement is an integral part of the plan strategy to meet the district's longer-term needs. Without it, the plan fails the test of soundness that the local plan inspector has found at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bromley. Could I invite Mr. James Herbert, please?
Mr. Mayor, members, officers, thank you for giving me the opportunity to put my question about the plan. And I have to say that I've come here tonight more in sorrow, actually, than in anger. And I do hope that even at this 11th hour, you will have the courage to make the right choice, not the easy choice. I would say one thing, it takes more courage to retreat than to advance. I'd like you to keep that in mind. And my question is to do with the housing numbers. The inspector says in his report that the plan's proposed housing supply is, and I do quote here, a very generous over-allocation of 25% against the plan's housing requirement. Now, if you remove the new settlement and its contribution of houses during the plan period, there is still an oversupply of 16%. The National Planning Policy Framework says that a buffer of 10 to 15% is adequate. Furthermore, Policy NE8 states that the best agricultural land will be protected from development, except where there is an overriding need. The new settlement will create serious adverse impact on conservation villages. It will lead to the irrevocable destruction of hundreds of acres of agricultural land in contravention
of that policy, NE8. And my question is this: why are you committing to this when the inspector's confirmed numbers demonstrate that even without the new settlement, the plan's housing requirements will still be met with plenty to spare and in excess of the guidance of the National Planning Policy Framework? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir, for the question. I'm happy to clarify this later, but the 10 to 15% buffer to which you refer isn't being used in the correct context here. It specifically relates to land supply rather than the formation of plan policies. It's detailed, and I'm happy to explain it after.
Well, I can perhaps explain it to you.
Excuse me, would you mind just letting the cabinet member answer your question? Thank you. Thank you.
Emotions running high.
I'll continue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This issue that which the question is about has been fully examined throughout the local plan process. The inspector has concluded that our strategy for delivering homes is positively prepared, it's justified, and it's consistent with national policy. He specifically concludes that a new settlement is an appropriate response to meeting the borough's longer-term housing needs. I don't have anything more to say on that.
But he didn't say that it was right. He said it was sound, but not right.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your time.
Thank you very much. Can I invite Alison Goodwin to ask her question, please?
Good evening. So my question is, this council has a commitment to sustainable development, and there has recently been a dramatic societal shift that now places care for the environment ahead of other considerations. The Court of Appeal has ruled that the Heathrow expansion plan, and probably therefore many other infrastructure and road projects as well, are unlawful because they do not take proper account of how it affects Britain's climate commitments, and the government is not going to challenge that judgment. Given this context, can you justify proceeding with the plan to include a new settlement in the broad location of the Hamiltons and Cattle DN4, which is to be built in open countryside and will destroy high-grade agricultural land in contravention of policy NE8, protection of agricultural land, and wildlife habitats, and it will be car dependent and therefore will produce higher emissions for every journey to the centres of population in the borough than alternatives closer to the urban centres, or than if it was not built?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The broad location for growth is part of a wider strategy that focuses growth in sustainable locations, including all on key public transport corridors. And I think when we're talking about this broad location, one of the main reasons why, although we haven't defined the boundary yet, why it is preferred is it has two existing used rail stations in it, and I think we mustn't forget that.
Can I ask the members of the public, I know the emotions are running high this evening, but can you please let the councillor or the cabinet member answer the questions and show them the due respect, please? Thank you. Councillor Bernard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The new settlement will include extensive networks of green and blue infrastructure, and it will aim to mitigate and adapt to climate change, as well as required by other policies within the plan. We've had some discussions as members since receiving the inspector's report between that time and the plan coming here, that the first thing we will need to review in the plan is its reaction to climate change. Things are moving very fast there. We have a motion to debate later this evening around climate change and around carbon offsetting. We recognise it's moving quickly, but everything moves quickly, and we can't just never adopt a local plan because the world is changing. But we can adopt a local plan and review it because the world is changing. Particularly on sorry, I think I'm looking at the next answer to one question. Sorry, that's it, sorry. I've written some notes that relate to something else, but I hope that helps.
Thank you for your question. Could I invite Councillor Lane from Kirkhamerton Parish Council, please?
Good evening. In the consultation on the new settlement, 86% of respondents objected to a new settlement in the broad location of Hamerton and Cattle. There has been no recognition of the strength of feeling and views of local people who are most affected by the new settlement and who feel this is being done to them rather than done with them. The Inspector's report on the examination of the Harrogate District Local Plan states at its paragraph 27 that the production of a new settlement development plan for policy DM4 will need to address very carefully the implications of the new settlement for nearby villages, having regard to the degree to which the new settlement is just that, rather than being merely an extension of an extant settlement. If the plan is adopted, the Keep the Hamertons Green Action Groups wish to be involved as formal stakeholders in a deep and meaningful way in the creation of the NSDPD relating to DM4. That will include consideration of its placement and boundaries within the broad location, the master planning and design elements, and the supply of infrastructure. What reassurance will the Council give, and what measures will it take to ensure meaningful involvement in the creation of the NSDPD for those most affected by the new settlement?
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Thank you for the question. As you'll know, work on the new settlement DPD perhaps calls that we have local plan examination until we get to the point where we adopt the local plan. Should we do that here tonight and work on the DPD, we'll progress. The first thing that we'll do on it is to develop a programme of community and stakeholder involvement. My colleagues, Councillor Ann Myers, Councillor Praskos and Councillor Waller, have been very strong in lobbying me that this should be a true partnership with the community, not just a consultation, and I agree with that.
Thank you very much for your question. Could I invite Mr. Alan Smith to ask his question, please?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My question, to a certain extent, has been already answered by Mrs. Norton. However, I would like to take this opportunity to read this question out. Parts of OC12 in the broad location for growth for a new settlement are subject to covenants, which mean that North Yorkshire County Council will benefit by perhaps as much as £40 million if that land is sold for development. 12 Harrogate Borough Council elected members, including the leader of the council, are also elected members of NYCC.